What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 60, and we're starting today's episode off with yet another bid for Romelu Lukaku, and after Abraham's brace on match day 2. Well, we know that Lukaku is going to be a bench striker in this team now at 31 years old, but Spurs putting in an offer, trying to take him to North London. Just don't see it, to be honest. I mean, possibly as a successor for Harry Kane, but no, I just don't see it really. I mean, he's just signed a contract extension. Like I talked about as well, when players sign a contract extension, it's highly unlikely they're going to move on a few weeks later, is it, to be honest? And I know if a player gets swapped out, for example, that's fair enough as a part exchange deal, but I don't see a player signing a big extension and then leaving for a big amount of money in a few weeks' time. So Lukaku's going to stay. And if he was going to go and I was going to sell him, I wouldn't sell him to a London rival, and I wouldn't sell him to, again, a division rival either. I think the only place I could see Lukaku really going, well, again, Spurs is a successor for Kane, possibly, but I would probably say back to Everton, where he really, enjoyed his football and he really developed as a young striker as well, but only in the twilight of his career right now. If that offer was to come in, I'd potentially consider it, but right now, 31 years old, 87 overall, he's still good enough to be playing European football. Everton aren't a European standard team, so really, I think at the moment, the most realistic place for Lukaku to be is either back at Inter Milan or staying here at Chelsea. So yeah, for the first game of today's episode here, taking on the Gunners away in North London at the Emirates Stadium. I could have joined Arsenal in the summer. Now, I'll be honest here, when I chose to join Chelsea, there were two clubs that I thought were the most realistic fits, and those were the two teams here on display, Chelsea and Arsenal. And the reason I chose Chelsea over Arsenal was because last season I joined Arsenal in my realistic career mode. I didn't want the same thing to happen again. I wanted things to be a little bit different, so I chose Chelsea instead, and also because as well, they'd showed interest in me back in season 2 as well, so they already had me on their radar. Arsenal had never inquired about my services, so Chelsea to me seemed just a little bit more realistic than Arsenal. They've got Mikel Arteta as a long-term successor and a long-term project there too, whereas Chelsea chop and change their managers after every 2 or 3 years. I thought Chelsea was just a little bit more realistic than the Gunners, hence why I chose the lads from West London instead, and I think I made the right call for realism as well. In the end, our first game against Arsenal, our first London derby, ended as a goalless draw. Yeah, 0-0 in North London. Not exactly a great result there between two teams who majorly underperformed last season. Both teams finished outside the top 7. Both teams this season are looking to make amends and get back in Europe for next year. A goalless draw, a very tedious game, I'll be honest here, but I'll take the point. Our first clean sheet for Edouard Mendy this season, and not a bad draw as our unbeaten start continues after our first 3 games. So as transfer deadline day would come round here, we had a couple of bids for Trevor Chalobah, both from Serie A clubs Napoli and AC Milan, but I'm keeping him here. He might be a 4th choice centre-half, but I like him out of the academy. Manchester United wanted N'Golo Kante, 33 years old. I said I'm willing to let him go at some point, but not to a division rival, and not right now either, as he has become our captain for this season, so it would be unrealistic to let him go. There was a loan offer for Gerard Branthwaite, who of course we brought back to the Premier League, and it was from West Ham as well. You might notice I'm looking down the squad of players for the team that are inquiring about our players' service to see if you get enough game time at that club. West Ham have lost Diop, they've lost Kurt Zouma, they do have Christian Romero there, but I think Branthwaite might get a little bit more game time there than he would at Fiorentina or RB Leipzig. Unfortunately, the deal fell through. How typical is that? I mean, seriously, moving to a London club, he doesn't have to go too far. I thought it was quite a realistic loan destination for him, and it's the one that falls through. How typical is that? With an hour to go on transfer deadline day, I did try and make one more signing with Chelsea. We signed 11 players so far in the summer window. I said I had to start the rebuild straight away, as my window as Chelsea manager is going to be a short one because they chop and change managers so frequently. We've already signed a few former academy graduates. I wanted this guy back as well. In the final year of his contract at Inter Milan, his future uncertain at the San Siro, just like Fikayo Tomori's was, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Bro, it's time to come back. We agreed a £12 million deal plus Suleimana as well, the young Ghanaian winger who's so quick, but in this team, he's not going to get a game. He's behind Pulisic, he's behind Havertz, he's behind Dembele, he's behind Thuram. He's going to get a lot more game time at Inter Milan. He'll be playing European football in the Serie A as well, whereas for Callum Hudson-Odoi, possibly feeling a little bit homesick, it's time to return to West London. Callum Hudson-Odoi has been rumoured to leave Chelsea every single season, but I said to Callum, if you come back, I promise you'll get more game time this time around, and you'll get more money as well. He's 23 years old, so still has his prime years ahead of him. 84 overall, with some fantastic pace, high medium work rates, and a 4-star skill move rating as well. As an inside forward on the left, he'll give some competition to Christian Pulisic, and again, he'll get more game time than Suleimana, and he'll certainly be a great impact sub in this team with the electrifying pace he's got and the young energy too. To think this guy's only 23 years old is crazy. It seems like he's been around forever. But again, for Suleimana going to Inter as well, I thought it was a realistic swap deal there, because for Suleimana, you know, he's not going to get a game time at Stamford Bridge. At 22 years old, he needs to get some game time if his career is going to develop. He'll get more of it at the San Siro than he would here at Stamford Bridge. And for Hudson-Odoi returning back to Chelsea, like Tomori, like Lamptey, like Abraham, it just kind of makes sense. The Chelsea old boys coming back to Stamford Bridge are really like that, especially with Callum being in the final year of his contract at Inter Milan and the Italian giants not wanting to lose him on a free transfer. So that would do it for the transfer window. Everyone take a breather, because that was dramatic as Fatty goes to Spurs. How about that? Jesus to Real Madrid and Tielemans to Manchester City, the big moves of the window. But what a transfer window for Chelsea. And this is the team we've now got. 12 new signings with Chelsea. Abraham coming back, Lamptey coming back, Tomori coming back as well as Hudson-Odoi too. Cucurella coming in for this season. Thuram arriving as well. I really like how the team is looking. It's a rebuild with Chelsea. We're trying to assemble the core of homegrown Chelsea players returning, and the ones that have stayed, such as Reece James and Trevor Chalobah and Mason Mount too. I really like it. Realistically, I think it looks good, and most importantly as well, it's a lot more younger than it was than the side we inherited, no doubt about that. But you might have wondered about Southampton, and of course we'll keep a very close eye on the Saints as the years go by. They did basically nothing in the window. I mean, they sold us Marcel and Bousquet, who have now been loaned out. But other than that, the team didn't really change. Adam Armstrong got sold. That's it. They didn't sign anyone. And they only sold 3 players, 2 academy grads to me, and also Armstrong. This is the same Southampton team as the one we left, and this is their Europa League group this season. They've got Porto, Rapid Vienna, and Legia Warsaw as well. So come on, you Saints. We might now be Chelsea manager, but don't think we've forgotten about the lads on the South Coast. Absolutely not. I had to take the next step for my career. I think I made the right choice, but for Southampton, this is still a really, really good team. I'm excited, man. I hope Southampton can stay in Europe. That's the sign of a good manager, when he leaves a team better off than where he found them, and they continue to get better as well. Go on, Southampton. Come on, you Saints. We'll still be hoping for the very best for Southampton this year. Still for the second and final game of today's episode here, as we will take on Everton at Stamford Bridge. 3 games into the season so far, 2 wins and a draw as well, and looking for our 3rd win of the campaign and maintaining our unbeaten start, taking on Everton, the Toffees here at Stamford Bridge. And heading into the game, this was going to be a big one already. Everton, as we know in the save, haven't done especially well, but their team is really good, to be fair. It's a fantastic side. They've got Ciro Immobile, the veteran Italian, leading their line. They signed one of my targets for the summer, Alessandro Bastoni. Justin Bailo, who is such a good goalkeeper in the game, is between the 6 as well. It's a really good Everton team, to be fair. They've got Kingsley Coman as well. It's a solid team. So taking on at Stamford Bridge, definitely felt confident of making it 2 wins from 2 in West London this season. But we would fall behind 14 minutes in against a run of play. We started the game off well. We'd hit the post after a great save by Justin Bailo, but after a lovely flick by Karim Adeyemi, the veteran Immobile turns it in, and this very good Everton side took the lead in West London. And I was thinking, okay, alright, down by a goal, but let's be honest here, I do not want my first loss as Chelsea manager to come at home against a team we should be beating. 27.5 minutes in, we're back on level terms, and it's the man who signed the extension to stay, Kai Havertz, the former Leverkusen man, loved by the Chelsea fans in the short space of time he spent in West London, bangs in our leveller, makes it 1-1. And I'll be honest here, despite Everton scoring the opening goal of the game, I'd been the far better team. Justin Baylor made a couple of great saves, including here on Tammy Abraham. Another great save with the Dutch shot stopper as we were still tied at 1-1. Havertz heading wide 5 minutes after the restart saw the score remain at 1-1, but it seemed at some point we were going to get a second goal. We just needed to be clinical. 65 minutes in, Tammy Abraham tries to outpace Kaleta Carr down left hand side, chips it over Baylor, and for the second time in the game we hit the woodwork off the post as we're still tied at 1-1, and with 20 minutes to go it was still tied. 30 minutes on the clock, still tied. Seeing as though we'd have back-to-back draws here and a slip up at home to Everton on match day 4. Welcome home, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Yes, this is why I signed him. I said to Callum, it'll be different this time, bro. You'll get more first team football here. He'll get more minutes on the pitch. And as an impact sub, oh, I can see this guy terrorising tired legs later on, just like he did on his second debut at Stamford Bridge. Gets around Kaleta Carr, smacks it past Bailo at the near post. Chelsea 2, Everton 1, an inspired substitution puts us in front finally for the first time in the game, and it's Callum back at Stamford Bridge with a dream second debut, giving us surely the game winner. Oh, and we just about hold on to it as well. What a save. Edouard Mendy, 32 years old, but I said he's going to stay as our main shot stopper. What a stop by the Senegalese goalkeeper. Kingsley Coman thought he'd levelled it for the Toffees, but great adjustment of the body from Mendy. Turns it over the bar with his legs, and we hold on for the win. Mendy the hero in the late stages of the game. Such a tough one this, I'll be honest. I felt we had a better team. Stats slightly deceptive really, but we do hold on for the 3 points. It's 3 wins in 4, 10 points from 12 to start the season off. Hudson-Odoi scoring on his second debut, and whilst Chilwell's injury has been a bit of a blow, it's still been a great start for life in West London. Asked to win a domestic double, we know it's going to be a tough, tall order, but couldn't have asked for a much better start. 3 wins in 4, still unbeaten, a long way to go, but a great start to life at Stamford Bridge. But that will end today's episode of the Realistic Crema, guys. Massive thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you hadn't, please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Realistic Career Mode as our core continues to gel very soon.